Well, let's move on from here. Let's talk about something else that's a rough experience in the shower. Monday Night Raw, which aired this past week, and hopefully we're not going to talk too much about.
No, well, basically it was a tale of two segments. They had an interview and a match, and then 2.5 more hours of program. But at least they led off with the best of the bunch. They were in Atlanta, and here comes Cody. It's a Rhodes in Georgia. It's a rainy Rhodes in Georgia. He's a big baby face. He's shaking hands. He's giving away his weight belt. He's doing his woe. And Brian, I've discovered that Cody's woe is my favorite woe. You want to know why?
Compared to the other woes? Yeah, why?
Compared to all the other woes. Because it doesn't last as long and it doesn't come up as often. You hear his song, and then right at the appropriate moment, whoa! Instead of Seth Franklin, which is just, whoa, just a droning on. It's almost like Don Fallis's music. And then Sami Zayn's, whoa, 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 or Olay, Olay, or whatever the fuck. All these other ones, they go on and on.
You know what my favorite woe is?
What?
The Tree of Woe.
Well, yes, because that way you can be hung there and it adjusts your back. Anyway, they were sold out wherever the fuck, whatever the building is these days in Atlanta. They had great arena shots. It was a big reaction. And Cody comes out and cuts a promo on Brock because that's going to be the main event at SummerSlam, obviously, even though we don't officially know that yet. And he's calling him out, accept my challenge, SummerSlam. And Brock doesn't show. There's no music, nada, nothing. He doesn't come out. And Cody's like, well, are you going to be fashionably late? I'll be here at 9 o'clock waiting for you. 10 o'clock, whenever I'll be here waiting for you. And he gets the people chanting Cody. And then he mentioned that Michelle, his mother, Dusty's wife, is in the front row. And he recognizes her to set the scene for this later on. And referenced hard times in his relationship with Brock. And he cut a fired up promo, got the people into it. He's a great baby face, and he's leaving the ring, and he hugs his mother on the way out. And all of a sudden, that's when Brock's music plays. And now he's ready. He's ready for a fight, but the music stops. And he's like, and it starts again. And he's ready. Finally says, enough of this. I'm going back there and get him. And as he goes through the entranceway, suddenly you see a chair fly out. And then here comes Brock throwing Cody out and bashing him with the fucking chair and just beat him all the way to the ring. And F5'd him right on the floor in front of his mother. Brian, can you imagine the embarrassment, the humiliation of being F5'd right in front of your mom?
I don't know. She's witnessed a lot of Cody's moments up close and personal.
Well, and think about that. Why did they never have her there? The Horsemen should have kidnapped Michelle and brought her when they broke Dusty's leg in the parking lot so she could watch it there, too.
I don't know about that.
But anyway, then Brock Kimura'd, as the kids say, double wrist locked the arm again, threw him back in the ring, double wrist locked it again, and then accepted the challenge. I'll see you at SummerSlam, bitch. So now we got a main event, and again, this is now that let the speculation begin, but how are they going to get by with or get away with, or is there any way to that, Cody beating Brock pretty decisively?
It has to be decisive?
I think at this point.
When you say decisive, what do you mean?
1, 2, 3. I don't know that Brock should ever tap out in a WWE ring. But he should beat him 1, 2, 3 at this point with, I'm not saying there can't be shenanigans in the finish, but it can't be like somebody, hits Brock with a truck and he's laying there and Cody steals it. It has to be Cody doing something pretty prominent, 1, 2, 3.
Remember, Cody won, fair and square in the kayfabe world of wrestling, but he did kind of steal one from Brock the first time, which triggered Brock's anger. Do you think this one, when you say it has to be a decisive pinfall, I mean, does Brock even get the kick out after the 3, or should it be
God, yes.
Cody takes down Brock and Brock is messed up after all this?
I don't mean he should be goddamn carted out on a spatula after Cody covers him. I know 1, 2, 3, Cody gets up, Brock turns over, he's selling whatever fucking happened. He's still conscious, but he's looking like motherfucker, and Cody gets his hands in the air. I think we have to at some point, because again, the first one was, Cody stealing more or less a quick one, as Vince used to say. He hated that too, a quick one. But, they've spread this out well, and they've milked it well, and the broken arm was a good bit of business. But at some point, Cody has to, not just beat him flat with his finish right in the middle and boom, thank you for coming, pissed in his mouth while he's down there, but get a hard-fought, clear 1, 2, 3, I think.
Do you think we find out Heyman paid Brock Lesnar to take out Cody in the long run?
Boy, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Because Brock is a mercenary. He wants money to buy more cattle. He doesn't care about who he hurts. He just wants to milk things.
And they've established, even with their problems, Heyman always kind of knows what's going on with Brock. How does he know this? It's a question that's never been answered.
Yeah.
And we need to somehow get back to Cody and Roman, we would think, unless main event Jay takes the world championship at SummerSlam.
I think we're safe.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. That was there was one other segment I liked on Raw, but that was the highlight of Raw, I guess.
What was the segment you liked on Raw, the next segment?
No, I don't even remember what it was, but I don't think it was that.
It was Riddle and Gunther. And I just want to say that, again, Gunther is amazing because he plays to Riddle's strengths, and at the same time, it brings out the best in Riddle when he has a guy he can actually wrestle, and he doesn't do all the stupid foolishness. And they wrestled, they laid in hard chops and strikes, German suplexes. The match made sense. Riddle always comes off like an idiot and looks odd with the Speedos and the bare feet. But with Gunther, or was there another match he had here lately? I said I liked Riddle, or was it with Gunther?
It was with Gunther, I think.
It was with Gunther. Okay, it's Gunther. But goddamn, Riddle works against this guy. But anyway, Gunther pinned him with a power bomb, and there was about 5 minutes of it on the air, so it was brief, but a nice little thing.
You know, it's a little pet peeve of mine. It always looks weird, and this was an example of it. You don't always see it. It's not a frequent thing. When two guys are against each other and neither of them have knee pads.
Yes, that in this day and age, that is rare.
It's a weird look because you're so used to everyone has their knees covered up. When all of a sudden it's just like bare legs, both of them. It's a weird look. Throws me off a little.
Takes you back to the days of Gene Kiniski.
Yes.
Who reminds me of Gunther. And here's something else. Jerry Lawler. Do you know that Jerry Lawler never wore knee pads until the 90s?
Now, how is that possible? Because he was doing all the bumps and the fist drops off the second rope in the 70s and 80s.
Exactly. And on the Tennessee rings, he wore long tights and the old K&H tights. And then when he got spandex, he even lost these. But in the 70s, the only padding was that they used to sew an extra layer of the tight material on over your knees, kind of like a rectangle, to make sure your knees didn't pop through the fucking tights. That was the only padding he had. And dropped all those fists and knee drops and everything else on those hard Tennessee rings 6 and 7 nights a week for 20 years without ever having a knee surgery. And that motion is enough to blow your PCL, the posterior cruciate ligament. That's why a lot of people in car wrecks, when their knees hit the dashboard, they tear the PCLs because it bends your knee back too far. And just the punishment on the kneecaps, it was amazing. He took all those bumps and never had a major surgery. Anyway, back to Raw, which is like major surgery.
If you know the answer, what made him start wearing the knee pads?
He finally started getting his knees a little sore. I swear to God. I saw him one time, and it was at least in the 90s, maybe in the WWF. And, well, you know what? When he first went up there, those rings didn't have a shit bit of give, and he's fucking 45 years old. But I saw him putting on knee pads. I said, when did this start? He said, just last year or something like that. Anyway, was the segment you liked where Rhea and Raquel got in a pull apart and Raquel's knee got hurt?
No.
Was the segment you liked where the Judgment Day came out to do an in-ring promo and were interrupted by Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and they spoke to each other for 10 minutes?
No, and I have to say, and things could change, but right now I'm getting back to where I was months ago. I'm getting sick of Owens and Zayn again.
Yeah. Because now they're there without being into something, yeah, right?
Exactly. They're not feuding with anyone, are they?
I can't believe they didn't ever get some kind of goddamn war games out of the Bloodline versus the babyfaces. But I like the Judgment Day promo. Rhea Ripley started and did a fantastic job. And Dominic got covered up with booze like usual. And Priest spoke briefly. And then Finn talked about Seth Franklin. And then here came Sami and Owens. And they just, again, we know we're going to have a tag match, but now they made it a title match for later. But it was 10 minutes. Was the segment you liked Liv and Raquel against Chelsea and Cruella?
What, are you joking?
Yes. Chelsea and Cruella won, by the way, in 5 minutes. They're the new tag team champions. Was it the sit down with Seth Franklin Rollins where Finn Balor came in, kicked the interviewer out of the room, and they sat down and had a scripted, dramatic, heart-to-heart acting scene?
It was absolutely not this.
Okay, and then Finn beat him up.
Naturally. As one is wont to do.
Was it the segment where the ring was set up like a Viking ship, complete with a prow and what's the opposite of the prow? An ass end? And Viking shields leaned up at all the sides of the ring. And it was Otis and Shoosh Boy with Model Girl against the Vikings with Val. What's her name? Val Holler?
I think so.
That's the way Aunt Lola would say it. And did you see the jump start on this match?
No, I decided to walk the plank. So I didn't watch this one. I'm not even going to lie.
Well, you missed 60 seconds of the best part of the show. They jump started this match when the Vikings were on the entrance ass of the boat and standing there, and Otis went to backdrop Shoosh Boy over the top rope to cannonball the Vikings. But when he backdropped him, he fell short and kind of to the side, and he missed the Vikings, and the Vikings kind of reached down and broke a bit of his fall and then fell down anyway. And then Val, who had seen him coming, didn't duck in a, oh shit, somebody's coming way, but just dropped down to her hands and knees like she was part of the goddamn vaulting routine. And then she stood up, and here came Model Girl with a drop kick, and I can see him in the locker room. They're thinking this is going to be a great opening spot. You guys are standing there. I'm going to backdrop old Shoosh Boy way up in the air, and he's going to cannonball you guys. And then Val Holler's going to stand up, and Model Girl here's going to drop kick her right in the mush. And she jumped up and drop kicked her with 1 foot barely grazing her either lower belly or fupa. And the poor old Val just flew away from that incredible contact. And then they fought for a minute and a half and went to a break. And basically it was a no disqualification, all 4 in the ring match with furniture and tables in a ring made to look like a Viking ship. And they gave that whole thing on the air. I couldn't have been 5 minutes. So was it Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross that you loved so much?
No, I actually didn't watch this.
Well, you wouldn't have had trouble skipping it. It only lasted 30 seconds. And then Rhonda was in a skybox and cut a memorized promo on Shayna about their friendship and who got who where and who should take credit for who. And I think everybody knows now that Ronda's leaving. She's given a finish-up date, and they rushed this program because she's got to get out of there. She's double parked. And I don't know, either apparently that or her lease is expiring at Titan Tower, whatever. Everything's got to go. So I don't see a lot of the fans being upset she's leaving. Has this run been where we saw that Ronda kind of probably came back and did this one for the money because it wasn't that much fun for her anymore?
She came back and did it because she had more time on her contract. There was something missing from the moment she returned at the Royal Rumble. There were a few good moments. I always liked her in the karate gi, or the judo gi, I guess, in Saudi Arabia. But there was something clearly amiss. She didn't connect at all as a babyface. The heel run so far has been the best stuff she's done. And as has happened before, it's going to end right away. We've seen it before where someone turns and it's like, wow, they're great, and then they're gone. And that's going to be Ronda. I'm not saying she's doing great stuff right now, but her and Shayna, because of the relationship, because of the style, potentially could be something interesting, and it's going to end before it barely starts.
Yeah. And the first time, her first run for the first, 1 year, she was a big major star. And then when she came back this time, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. And as far as the fans not really getting into her like they did before, or her obviously looking like she didn't give a shit. And then the fans say, well, we don't either. I don't know which came first, but it wasn't, Was the segment that you loved Ms. TV with Becky Lynch?
Yes, this was the other segment I liked. I didn't say loved, I said liked.
What did you like about it?
I like Becky, and I'm getting a kick out of Trish. And I thought Trish was great here. I mean, The Miz had nothing to do with it. Let me just throw that in there. He just stood in the background. But I thought...
Well, after he got threatened and browbeaten by Becky face-to-face till he's bowing out through the ropes, I did like that part.
I like the interaction between Becky and Trish. And I think Trish is actually doing really good stuff right now.
I think it's more snarky girl talk that the writer's script for these Stanislavski method actresses. I
think they're more Strasbourg, but go ahead.
Well, okay. Or maybe it's the Pavlov method.
Oh. Woof woof, bitch.
Yeah. I like Rhea Ripley's unscripted shit where she gets in people's faces and has some emotion because I can believe it. And there's a few others. Charlotte, she is the fucking ice queen, right? You can tell when she's being a little condescending that it's part of her kind of makeup. But when they have them just go out there and be snarky with each other for minutes and minutes upon end, and this whole thing was close to 15 minutes from start to finish, from the start of Miz TV through the browbeating of Becky on Miz to the interaction with Trish and Zoe Stark. And then they had a shitty fight. It was almost 15 minutes. And at that point, we were about 2 hours and 15 minutes into the program. And after watching Collision Saturday night, where really all I did was fast forward the commercials and kind of really not pay any attention to the girls because I was afraid it would ruin the good taste I had in my mouth. This match or this show was exceptionally hard to take because it took me longer to watch the FTR tag match than it did to zip through this entire 3-hour Raw minus the fucking entrances, the goddamn recaps, the commercials, the backstage hoo-ha, and to try to get to any meat of the matter. And then here comes Shaky Nakamura and Bronson Reed. And and they went 2 minutes to the break. And then they came back 2 minutes, and Tommaso Ciampa, who I love, now attacks Bronson and gets Shaky disqualified. So Shaky hits him with a shitty kick and knocks him out and leaves. And that's all we got there. And then we know the main event already. For the tag team title, Owens and Zayn against Priest and Dominic. All right. They started from the time they started the entrances to begin this main event until the time that they actually started the match was 12 fucking minutes, Brian. And I got to, again, these people are standing out in the fucking ring with their dicks in their hands in front of these fans. And then before they started the match, Seth Franklin came out and jumped on Finn Balor and they fought off. And we actually never saw him again. And they had a tag match with what time they had left on the air now, less than 15 minutes. They went 4 minutes to the break. They came back with less than 10 minutes on the air. Everybody in the match can work. There was nothing wrong from an amateurish standpoint or anything excessively dangerous or stupid. It was a modern style match where people disappear for long stretches of time so the other two can do whatever they've planned to do. And I didn't really care about the issue. And then Liv Morgan suddenly attacks Rhea Ripley. They did a convoluted back and forth finish. Sammy pinned Dominic. That's the right result. The people in the building loved it. And I was like, yeah. That was about it.
That was about it. That was WWE Raw. Hopefully the quickest review of Raw we've done in a while.
I just can't wait for Saturday nights to come because I've heard they're all right for fighting. And every time I watch that show, I'm watching more than I'm fast forwarding.